So let's do a rapid fire roundup of races throughout the state, shall we, folks? Looking at you, Alex, where are we in the race to replace longtime Secretary of State Jesse White?
I'm kind of surprised, but not that Jesse White is retiring, because I thought he was going to retire like 15 years. At least that's what he told me when I first started reporting on the state. So it is for real. He is retiring. Alexi Giannoulias.
It is for real.
It's for real this time. He's trying to make a political comeback. Alexi Giannoulias. He's the Democrat that was elected state treasurer back in 2007. He was 30. And he ran for U.S. Senate in 2010. He lost. His family's bank failed, and it kind of got all tied together, and he never really came back from that until now. And he's been consistently so far polling ahead of his Republican opponent. That's Dan Brady. He's a state representative. And Giannoulias, he talks about his experience laying out budgets, running a statewide office. Brady is building consensus during all the years he's been a state rep, and he is talking a lot about the need to modernize a lot of issues with the Secretary of State's office, mainly at the DMV. And there's also a third person running in this race, a libertarian by the name of Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart, spelled like the famous comedian, exactly the same way. He's a former professional wrestler from Deerfield. The Sun-Times says he wasn't going to run until the Libertarians, who they were originally going to put up there, a man named Jesse White, he was reportedly, he says he was bullied off the ballot by Giannoulias' lawyers. Giannoulias' lawyers deny that, but they said that they were going to mount some pretty expensive challenges to a man named Jesse White running for Secretary of State.
Okay. Well, Lynn, what is happening in Illinois' 6th Congressional District?
So this is the big district where the race is tightening between Representative Sean Casten and Orland Park Mayor Keith Pecau.
Yeah.
So as we speak on Friday, the leader of the House Republicans, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, is coming in to do an event for Mayor Pecau. But President Biden is coming to Chicago, where he will be doing an event Friday night with the suburban representatives, the Democratic incumbents, including an event for Casten. That is also Representative Lauren Underwood from the 14th Congressional District and Bill Foster from the 11th. The races are seen as tightening there. There is outside money, an enormous amount, going into the 6th Congressional District in these closing days. $1.8 million from the Congressional Leadership Fund, which is the House Republican Allied Fund. So this is a district that was redrawn by Democrats to be Democratic, but they probably didn't put enough Democrats in it. And if there is a red wave coming nationally, it is also, I'm putting it out there to watch for, I believe it also is going to hit Illinois. And while it might not be as apparent in the statewide races, these congressional races are more vulnerable to a red wave. That's why you also are going to see Biden here Friday night in more of a closed event. Saturday, he'll probably be with some of the congressionals, Underwood and Foster, and then Vice President Harris is here on Sunday.
Let's briefly hit a couple more, Alex. I know that we've got these high-profile races that we talk about, but we also have some that aren't getting as much attention, like DuPage County Board Chairman. That's up for grabs. Republican Dan Cronin has held that job since 2010, not running for re-election. Why does this race matter?
Well, this race matters because it matters for a couple of reasons. But in the Democrat who's running in this race, Illinois State Representative Deb Conroy, she would be the first woman to hold that spot. And the Republican in this race, Greg Hart, he has been on the DuPage County Board for about 5 years, and he wants to get in there and make some change as well. Now, this race is kind of wild to me because I started off covering county politics in like small areas. I live in Springfield now, so you're thinking like Sangamon County Board, and even like out in Macomb, the McDonough County Board. Yeah, like they don't even take mileage per diem. So the fact that Greg Hart has $1.5 million on hand right now for a county board race, I just haven't been up here all that long. That's kind of wild to me. And Deb Conroy has about $800,000 on hand right now. So, and they're out with ads. They're out on TV with a couple of ads, and they're both running a couple of positive and a couple of negative ads. And it's a race to watch. It's going to be pretty tight.
Also, 2 seats on the state Supreme Court up for grabs. How's that looking?
Well, it still remains to be seen, but this is the race that people are talking about because if Republicans win 2 of these seats, then that's going to shift the ideological makeup of the Supreme Court. People in Cook County, they can vote too. District 1 is whether Judge Mary Ann Thies faces a retention vote, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounced her name.
Right, but that's different than the two.
Right,
The two seats that are up are in suburban. There are 7 seats on the state Supreme Court. 3 come from Cook County, but in order to not have the Cook County vote dominate it, 1 is from basically the northern suburbs, 1 western.
Right,
so,
exactly.
And that's different than a retention. Because
right, so
if she's so go on.
Well, in District 1, she's going to be that's a retention vote. But in District 2, the northern suburbs and then the western suburbs, that's where you have Democrat Elizabeth Roqueford and Republican Mark Curran. He's a former Lake County sheriff. And District 3, DuPage, Will, Grundy counties in those areas, Mary Kay O'Brien, a former state legislator, and current Justice Michael Burke. They're running in that race.
So much to consider on Tuesday. Let's take a quick pause here, gang. That's Chicago Sun-Times Washington Bureau Chief Lynn Sweet, Alex Degman, Statehouse reporter for WBEZ, and Carrie Shepherd from CityCast Chicago. They're sticking around, and we hope that you do too, because there's much more news to get to.